Where does waste go after you flush the toilet? Hi, welcome to Curious Kids Every Day. I'm Josh. How are you doing today? It's so good to hear from you. Hey, do you know what this sound is? Yep, that is the sound of a toilet. Now, we've already done an episode where we talked about how toilets work, but we didn't really discuss exactly where the water goes after it leaves the toilet. Where does all that water and all that waste go? I was thinking about this because I got an email from a curious kid named Luca. Luca wondered, how does sewage work? Like, when you flush a toilet, where does it go? Well, every time you flush, the water and waste that goes down that hole, it's starting a really long journey. And we're gonna follow the entire thing today. But don't worry, we're gonna keep it clean. Just like the water by the time the whole process is over. When you flush a toilet, the first thing that happens is simple. Gravity takes over. The clean water rushes in from the tank. That pushes the dirty water and waste down. And have you ever noticed that curved section under the seat of the toilet near the floor? That curved shape is called the trap, and it keeps smelly air from coming back into your bathroom. So after passing through that trap, everything enters a larger pipe under the toilet. Now, at your house, that pipe may actually be under your house, but at my house, the bathroom is right underneath the garage, and that means that I see our pipe all the time. Every time I go into the garage, I see the waste pipe, or the drain pipe. It runs down from the ceiling of the garage, which is right underneath the floor of the bathroom. And it runs down the wall of the garage and then goes into the wall. Yep, the pipe just goes straight into the wall. So does all the waste just live behind our garage walls? No. It connects to even bigger underground pipes called sewer lines. Now, these sewer lines all angle downward so that the wastewater can keep moving. Have you ever played with water inside of a pipe and you've tilted the pipe so the water runs out one way, or tilted it the other way so that the water runs out the other way? All sewer lines are built at an angle so that they can always continuously keep moving forward. The water and waste don't need a motor or pump for this part of the trip because gravity just does its thing. Everything just flows downhill through the network of pipes beneath your neighborhood. Did you know that there are all these sewage pipes under your yard and under the road by your house? And along the way, wastewater from other houses in your neighborhood or buildings, they all join in with your sewage and it all just starts heading to the same place. And that place is called a wastewater treatment plant. A treatment plant is a special facility built to clean dirty water before it goes back into nature. All that water and waste that flushes down your toilet and all the different things that are in those sewage lines heading to the treatment plant, it's all pretty nasty. It needs to be cleaned. I mean, there's your waste, there's pieces of toilet paper, there's food scraps, dirt, and other materials all running through these pipes. So the first job of the plant is to remove the big objects. They have large screens that catch anything that should not continue on. So that's the first step. But then the water moves into tanks where heavy materials sink to the bottom. Lighter things float to the top too. So machines scrape away the stuff on top while the settled material is collected from the bottom. This step removes a lot, but the water is still not ready to return to the environment. Not even close. The next step is one of the most important. the water flows into aeration tanks, where large bubbles of air are pumped in. The air helps good bacteria grow, and these good bacteria eat the tiny bits of waste that we cannot see. They naturally break down these materials into harmless pieces. You know, sometimes you hear the word bacteria and you think it's always a bad thing. It's like a virus or something like that. But bacteria can be a very good thing too. After the bacteria do their work, the water moves into settling tanks again. Any remaining solids sink while the clearer water rises. The plant removes that clearer water and often sends it through filters. And many plants also disinfect the water using chlorine or ultraviolet light to kill any leftover germs. Finally, the cleaned water flows back into rivers and lakes. And some towns reuse this water for watering parks or farmland. So the short answer is, when you flush, that water ends up back in rivers and lakes. But it's cleaned very, 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 very thoroughly first. But you might be wondering, what about all the leftover solids? You know, the big stuff you flush down the toilet? Well, when those solids sink to the bottom in the early settling tanks, that material is called sludge, and it's treated separately. Sometimes it's heated or dried or sent to a landfill, depending on the plant, but sometimes it's turned into fertilizer. And fertilizer is used to grow plants. Isn't that amazing? Our waste can be used to keep nature growing. And we've got an amazing system set up so that every time you flush, everything gets cleaned and some of it gets reused. In a way, your waste can actually help the environment. Isn't that so cool? So don't forget to flush. Now, did you know that some wastewater treatment plants create electricity by using methane gas released from the sludge? So that means that the plant can power some of its own machines using the sludge that it's cleaning at the plant. That's crazy. That's so cool. All right, let's have a quick quiz. Where does wastewater go after it leaves your house? Well, it goes on quite a journey, but the first place it goes to is into underground sewer pipes. And what tiny helpers break down small waste in aeration tanks? That would be bacteria. And what is the leftover solid material at treatment plants called? We call it sludge. Let's play true or false. True or false? Wastewater treatment plants help make dirty water clean again. That's true. True or false? Wastewater flows uphill to get to the plant. False. It goes downhill. If it traveled uphill, it would need the help of a lot of motors along the way, but there are no motors needed. It just makes its way thanks to gravity. Would you rather have a toilet that made this sound every time you flushed it? Or this sound? I'll go with this sound. All right, let's play What Am I? What am I? I fill with air bubbles. I help bacteria stay active. And I break down tiny bits of waste. What am I? I am an aeration tank. Here's another one. What am I? I allow solids to sink. Clearer water ends up above me. And I am used more than once during treatment. What am I? I am a settling tank. All right, one more. What am I? I am made from leftover solids. I can be heated or dried. Sometimes I fertilize farmland. What am I? I am sludge. Well, the next time you flush the toilet, now you know exactly what happens to everything that goes down the hole. The waste doesn't just disappear. It goes on a really long trip through pipes and tanks. It gets cleaned really carefully, and then it returns to the environment as safe water again. Or in the case of the sludge, it might even become fertilizer. Think about that. Every time you flush the toilet, you're starting a really long journey for all that water. That's pretty amazing. What kind of question do you think we'll ask tomorrow on Curious Kids Every Day? I can't wait to find out. So until then, keep asking questions and stay curious, kids. And we've got a birthday today. Cal is from California, and today is Cal's 6th birthday. Happy birthday, Cal. Cal is in the Curious Kids Club, so for all the grown-ups listening, if your kids want their birthday mentioned on the show, please go to supportcuriouskids.com and join the Curious Kids Club. Again, that's supportcuriouskids.com. See you tomorrow.